Hello there, Cesar from Cesar in the Woods, and welcome to my contribution to this YouTube collaboration on my three favorite pieces of backpacking gear. Now, it was a very difficult, challenging task to come up with just three pieces of backpacking gear, so I'm of course going to have some caveats to what that means, so I was able to pick just three, especially considering two that I've already covered a lot of my favorite gear on my channel, so I wanted to pick some gear that I've not, discussed as much or at all before. All right, so that's one of the caveats. But before I get into the gear, I definitely want to give a big thank you and shout out to the other collaborators, right? We have Paul and Andy and Darwin and Jacob and John. I will put a link in the description below. Make sure to check them out. I had not been aware of these channels up until I was invited to this collaboration, which is great. I'm a busy guy. Honestly, I don't watch that many YouTube videos, and I don't make as many videos as I'd like to make because I work both a full-time and a part-time job, and I'm a father of two young kids, right? And then of course I've got to get out there and get backpacking. So it was great to discover these channels. As I said, I've seen some of their videos though, and it's great content. So I feel honored to be invited. So thanks to Paul, or AKA Pie on the Trail, for not only inviting me but also for putting this project together. So that being said, the shout outs are out of the way, right? And now on to the gear itself, right? I'll try to move quickly through them. I have a tendency to be long-winded for those of you that are not familiar with me, right? That's another challenge of being able to, not make it too long because I tend to ramble when it comes to gear, right? Okay, so as I said before, there's going to be three pieces of gear that I have wanted to talk about but haven't. I obviously have many other favorite pieces of gear. I've done many videos and reviews on some of those favorite pieces of gear that you can check out on my channel. So I'm not going to pick anything that I've already done like a full review on, right? This is going to be, three things that I've not, devoted that much or any time to. And I also wanted to pick a wide variety. Here's another kind of caveat I thought to myself, because in picking stuff I thought, well, yeah, I want to pick gear I haven't talked about, but I want to have some kind of a theme too. So here's my theme. It's going to be different seasons, right? From, all year round. So the gear I picked kind of is my favorite gear that represents, from, because I like to get out every month of the year when I can, even if it's just for day hikes. I'm mostly a section hiker, right? And I dream of through hikes. One of these days I will, get there. In spite of my 20 plus years as a backpacker, I've not done like a big, months long through hike. It's mostly been, maybe weeks at most, right? But one of these days. But let's get to the gear, right? So first things first. The first thing I'll grab here, and this is going to be getting a lot of use, or has gotten a lot of use in the spring and in the fall when it's cold rain, right? And you have my Go Light Poncho Tarp. This thing has served me quite well over the years. I have one video where I set it up. It's very easy to set up. It only takes me like 4-5 minutes to set it up. And I will use this as a standalone shelter too, because it's a poncho tarp, right? But I use it mostly as, rain gear and as an addition to my shelters, right? It's such a flexible piece of gear. You can do stuff like that. Not only rain gear, pack cover, but also you can use it to make your existing shelter. I'm mostly a tarp user. I do have some tents, but usually my go-to shelter is going to be a tarp. Adding a poncho tarp to it really makes for a whole lot of coverage. This can be turned into a vestibule by putting, like, say, your ridgeline through the hole here, right? You can add a huge vestibule to the front or back of a frame setup of a tarp. That's one excellent feature of it. If you're sleeping at a trail shelter that doesn't have like a front door, here in Sweden there's a ton of these in Swedish called vindskydd, where it's just like a cabin with three walls, and then there's like one wall that overlooks usually like a nice scenic area like a lake or a river, and that is nice and all, but sometimes when there's wind and rain, that or snow, that can blow into the shelter. So you can actually pitch this as a front door, which anybody who's been following my blog has seen on my trip reports. Several times I've done that. I've been very thankful for it to keep me more comfortable and dry and cozy inside of the trail shelter, right? And I gotta love trail shelters. A great thing to take advantage of if you're on a long distance trail, right? And it's late and dark, and you don't have to set up your shelter. You can just crash in there. Okay, so Go Light Poncho Tarp. I will have to say a few more things though. That it also really rekindled my love for the Poncho Tarp for all the reasons I just mentioned. In my youth, I used like heavier, bulkier, Poncho Tarps that I really, just could not get into. But this thing is so lightweight; it's like 200 grams. However, that did come at a slight cost, right? Let's be real here. It's 15D silicone nylon, and it has worn out some. And I noticed this actually before I saw somebody do some testing on the fabric online on a forum. There are people that have done their own independent testing, and there was somebody did a test on this fabric. This is Go Light has since gone out of business, so you can't find this tarp anymore. Anyhow, but yeah, the fabric with the age test, it showed a decrease in its hydrostatic head, and I noticed through the years that it's a bit of water has gotten in with time. When I first got it, I was like very very dry underneath, and as the years have gone on now, I noticed a little bit of water, getting nothing. It's like I said, still serviceable. I plan to use this, continue to put this to good use this year, this season. But I think this might be the last year. I bought it for $45 used online, so that's an incredible value, right? Yeah, but I will be replacing it probably with the Mountain Laurel design Poncho Tarp. I heard good things about it, read good things about it, and also their updated 2016 silicone nylon looks to be slightly lighter and more higher hydrostatic head and better tear strength. So I'm looking forward to that too. Okay, let's move on, right? So I've covered, rain, which is, a factor that is, I said spring and fall because it's more of a factor there where it's colder, and hypothermia and being wet is way more uncomfortable, and, those are bigger issues. Now let's move to when you get wet and it's all right in the summertime when it's nice and warm, and it doesn't matter as much if you're wet, right? If the sun is shining and it's muggy and humid out. And next up then, if you're going to get wet, Pack Raft. Now this is the Climate Light Water Dinghy. I've taken this out on its trial run. I just put up a blog post about this, giving kind of an overview of my pack rafting kit, and I loved it. I really enjoy pack rafting now. I'm new to this, but this has opened up a whole new door. I look at maps completely different now. I see all those wonderful, blue, trails, meaning like a river or a stream, and I think of the possibilities, right? So this has really opened up a whole new world to me. I've gone on rafting trips before, but they've always been with those big, heavy rubber, plastic, dinghies, and yeah, they've been fun, but man, they've been heavy and annoying to lug around and difficult to inflate. This thing weighs about a kilo, and it also takes me 5 minutes to inflate and 3.5 minutes to deflate. And I time myself. If you're interested in my blog, with a further, breakdown and analysis, I'll put a link to that below. All right, I suppose too, I can put a link to my Go Light Poncho Tarp setup. I have a video about that, right, from several years ago. But yeah, this is brand new. I just got this this year and just put it to the test, and I'm really looking forward to get more good use out of it. Yeah, I got the pack rafting bug. I'm probably in the future, I'll fall down the rabbit hole more and get a more robust pack raft. This is only intended to be used on class 2 and lower rapids or waters, right? But there's plenty of that here in Sweden, right? There are many lakes and many rivers, and there are not that many like, crazy class 5 type rapids. So yeah, if you don't plan on going on any crazy rapids, right, um, then this thingy is a great solution. Uh, Another thing about it is that it also it can be a complement to backpacking, not just strictly pack rafting trips, right? I do plan on taking just strictly pack rafting trips where I do more paddling than do hiking, right? But I also have trips planned where I get to do, a lot of hiking, and then if I need to say that there's a huge lake or river that's like in my way, and especially for off-trail trips where it would be way more pragmatic and convenient to just go, over, a body of water and continue on my merry way through the woods, right? This is a great solution, and also fun solution, right? Okay, so pack raft, right? Yeah, and now let's move on to winter. For years, I struggled with a solution to shoes for winter. As a ultralight backpacker and a minimalist um, barefoot shoe fan, right? I made the transition several years ago to minimalist or uh, zero drop barefoot type shoes, not only in just my everyday life, like the shoes I wear from day to day to work or whatever, but also hiking. I've survived for years now on Chuck Taylors, but recently I found some other solutions. There's more of a demand for barefoot shoes, so that they've been putting out, other types of barefoot shoes, which is great. But wintertime, that was a challenge, right? What to do in the wintertime? How do I get a warm, water resistant, and also like high top winter shoe that's also, flat, right? And I finally found it just by chance. I was at a Croc store, looking to see if I could get some rain boots because I know they make some nice rain boots, and they are also like I saw a couple of people on like barefoot like blogs recommend Crocs as being a good barefoot shoe. I don't really like the sandals, so I was trying to see, well, maybe they'll have rain boots. Little do I know they have winter boots, and here they are. These are, I have no idea what the model is, but for a few winters now, I've used these and I love them. They also are not all that heavy, right? For like, there's some winter boots I've worn in the past. They're these huge, massive, heavy bricks on your feet of like, fur and leather and, like rubber. It was, I'm I should have weighed because I saved as a relic. I saved one of these winter boots, which I no longer wear. I don't know what to do with it, and they gotta weigh like maybe a kilo, over a kilo, maybe two each. These weigh about a kilo total. I think it's 510 or 15 grams for each boot. Right, I weighed them shortly before preparing for this video, and they're very comfortable, and they're flat, right? And they're very very warm. And in fact, I've taken these down to like minus 12 or so, and in the snow, and it's great because they have high tops. So with gaiters too, because I wear these with gaiters. Snow doesn't get in the shoe at all, right? Yeah, super warm, super dry, because then I have this like kind of rubbery, toe here and sides. So dry and warm and comfortable and lightweight. What a nice solution, right? I replaced the laces with some reflective laces because in the winter it's dark here in Sweden, and so it's nice, when you're getting up, for whatever reason, if I'm in my shelter and I need to put my boots on, my flashlight will immediately, find them. I also put some insoles in that came actually with another pair of shoes. I got a pair of Lem's boulder boots to use in the spring and the fall for hiking, and I really like those. I'll do another video on that in the future probably. But they came with some insoles, and I put them in here because I got these a size too big, so that way I could wear, if it gets really cold, I could wear like a couple of pairs of socks on the inside here, and yeah, it works out great. And also, highly recommend to get them size up in the wintertime, not only for the socks, but also for the dead air space, for the warmth too. It's nice to have a little bit of extra space for, air. So that covers my three favorite pieces of gear for like winter, spring, summer, and fall, like year round. There are also pieces of gear that I have not really discussed in detail, so I'm killing that bird, too. I'm killing several birds with one stone here. And on top of that, too, they cover kind of a nice little like variety of, time. The dinghy is brand new. I just got that this year. The boots I've had for a few years, and then the Poncho Tarp I've had for several years, and so I've gotten some good use uh, out of all of these. I've only used the dinghy once, but I got that was great, and I plan to get more good use out of it. Right, I'll try to wrap it up. I can be very, very long-winded, as I said before, right? But I just love talking about gear, and I'm looking forward to hearing what my other collaborators choose, right? Their videos, I've already seen some sneak peeks, are way more high tech than I am. I don't have the time or patience or uh, expertise, or even like now my video editing capabilities are also limited because rather than upgrade my computers, I've chosen to upgrade my gear, right? So the computer budget has been eliminated for my gear. Yeah, if I have to choose to have fancy videos or have fancy gear, I'll choose the fancy gear any day of the week, right? But in the future, hopefully, I do have, if you look on my channel, my earlier videos when I actually could edit them some, I did have some that were, a little bit more streamlined, right? So thanks for bearing with me on this, one shot, one take um, type video. Well, that's not entirely true. I did do a few videos before this in preparation, but with this just one long take type video. As a bonus, here's my cat. See him. This is Mr. Stinky. Hello, Mr. Stinky. There. No YouTube video is complete without arbitrary placement of a cat. Alright. Hope this was enjoyable. Like I said, check out the other guys. And yeah, take care. Happy trails to you. Goodbye.